In a significant development for regional maritime security, Japan and the Philippines have solidified plans to transfer 6 Abukuma-Class destroyer escorts from the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force to the Philippine Navy. This agreement, formalized during a bilateral meeting at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore in June 2025, underscores the deepening strategic partnership between the two nations amid rising tensions in the South China Sea. The transfer, which could mark Japan's first export of major naval platforms in decades, aims to bolster the Philippine Navy's capabilities in anti-submarine and anti-ship warfare, addressing the growing assertiveness of China's maritime activities in the region. While the deal is still subject to critical evaluations, it represents a pivotal step in enhancing the Philippines' naval strength and reinforcing Japan's role as a key security partner in the Indo-Pacific. The agreement was reached between Japanese Defense Minister Yen Nakatani and Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro, reflecting a shared commitment to counter regional security challenges. The Abukuma-Class destroyers, with a displacement of approximately 2,000 tons, are equipped with advanced weaponry, including Harpoon or Type 90 anti-ship missiles, ASROC vertical launch systems for anti-submarine warfare, triple torpedo tubes, a 76mm Otobreda naval gun, and a 20mm phalanx close-in weapon system. These capabilities significantly surpass those of the Philippine Navy's current fleet, which primarily consists of smaller frigates and corvettes, such as the Jose Rizal-class frigates and older vessels like the BRP Raja Humabon. With China's People's Liberation Army Navy operating 102 surface combatants, the addition of these destroyers could provide the Philippines with a much-needed edge in maritime defense, particularly in contested waters like the West Philippine Sea. The next phase of the transfer process involves a joint visual inspection scheduled for August 2025, during which a delegation of Philippine naval experts will travel to Japan to assess the condition, maintenance history, and operational viability of the Abukuma-class vessels. These ships, commissioned in the late 1980s and early 1990s, have served the JMSDF for over 3 decades and are being phased out in favor of the newer Mogami-class frigates. The JVI will evaluate whether the destroyers, which remain well-maintained according to online discussions on platforms like Reddit, can meet the Philippine Navy's modernization requirements. Key considerations include the ship's remaining service life, compatibility with existing Philippine naval systems, and the cost of potential upgrades to ensure operational readiness. The inspection's outcome will determine whether the transfer proceeds, with a tentative delivery timeline starting in 2027, aligning with the JMSDF's decommissioning schedule. This transfer is not merely a transaction of military hardware, but a strategic maneuver in the broader geopolitical landscape of the Indo-Pacific. Japan, constrained by its pacifist constitution, has historically limited arms exports, but recent policy shifts under Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's administration have eased these restrictions to strengthen alliances. The Philippines, a key ally in Japan's vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific, is a natural partner for this initiative. Both nations face maritime disputes with China, Japan in the East China Sea over the Senkaku Islands, and the Philippines in the South China Sea over features like Scarborough Shoal and the Spratly Islands. By equipping the Philippine Navy with advanced vessels, Japan aims to enhance regional deterrence against China's growing naval presence, which includes advanced destroyers and aircraft carriers. The transfer also complements other Japan-Philippine defense collaborations, such as the 2016 lease of TC-90 patrol aircraft and joint naval exercises under the Reciprocal Access Agreement signed in 2024. Public sentiment, as reflected in online discussions, highlights the significance of this deal. Posts on X frame the transfer as a strategic counter to China's maritime assertiveness, with users emphasizing the Abukuma-class destroyers' firepower and their potential to reshape regional power dynamics. Reddit threads echo this enthusiasm, with users praising the well-maintained condition of Japanese naval assets and viewing the transfer as a boost to the Philippines' defense capabilities. However, some voices express concerns about the long-term costs of maintaining and operating these aging vessels, as well as the need for the Philippines to develop a domestic defense industry to reduce reliance on foreign equipment. These discussions underscore the broader implications of the transfer, which extends beyond military upgrades to questions of national sovereignty and economic sustainability. The transfer's success hinges on several factors, including the outcome of the August 2025 JVI and subsequent negotiations. The Philippine Navy will need to assess whether the Abukuma-Class destroyers can be integrated into its fleet without prohibitive maintenance costs. Upgrades to radar, communication systems, and weaponry may be necessary to align the ships with modern naval standards, potentially framed as a joint development project to comply with Japan's export regulations. Such upgrades could involve Japanese defense contractors like Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, which built the Abukuma-Class vessels, and could further deepen bilateral defense industry ties. Additionally, the Philippine Navy will need to train personnel to operate these sophisticated platforms, a process that could benefit from Japan's expertise in naval training and maintenance. China's response to the transfer remains a critical variable. While Beijing has not issued an official statement on the Japan-Philippines deal, past reactions to similar agreements suggest it may view the transfer as provocative. China has repeatedly criticized military cooperation between the Philippines and its allies, particularly the United States and Japan, as escalatory in the South China Sea. The transfer of Abukuma-class destroyers could prompt diplomatic protests or increase Chinese naval activity in disputed waters, further heightening tensions. However, the Philippines and Japan appear committed to proceeding, viewing the deal as essential to regional stability and collective defense. The transfer also carries symbolic weight, marking a milestone in Japan's emergence as a proactive security partner in Southeast Asia. For the Philippines, it represents a critical step in its naval modernization program, which seeks to transform the Navy from a coastal defense force into a credible blue water fleet. The Abukuma-class destroyers, despite their age, offer a cost-effective means to achieve this goal, providing capabilities that rival those of larger regional navies. If successful, the transfer could pave the way for further defense cooperation, including additional naval assets or joint development of maritime technologies. In conclusion, the planned transfer of 6 Abukuma-class destroyer escorts from Japan to the Philippine Navy is a landmark development in their strategic partnership. The August 2025 JVI will be a decisive moment, determining whether these vessels can meet the Philippines' operational needs and budgetary constraints. Beyond the technical aspects, the transfer reflects a shared commitment to countering regional security challenges and upholding a rules-based maritime order. As the Philippines seeks to assert its rights in the South China Sea and Japan strengthens its regional alliances, the Abukuma-class transfer could redefine naval dynamics in the Indo-Pacific, with implications that resonate far beyond the two nations involved.